Tucked away in the birthplace of America, there's a pizza shop that's run by one man. Somehow, he's able to produce 150 pizzas a night alone. On top of that, he sells out almost every week. People come from all over the state, and oftentimes, they'll order their pie days ahead just to make sure they can get one. So, how is this even possible? Why does he do it alone? And can the pizza really be that good? We're about to find out. So I'm in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and I am freezing, but I'm heading to Edge Pizza to meet up with Chef Aaron to find out why one person would sacrifice so much time and effort just to make a pizza. Meet Aaron, the culinary genius who's making some of the most hype pies in New England. He's here 5 days a week and has become somewhat of a local celebrity. I asked him how he managed his time, and his answer was shocking. So you actually have a full-time job, right?
Yeah, work as a physical and occupational therapist. So I'm fixing hips and knees and shoulders and stuff all day, and then coming here and
then feeding people at night.
Feeding people at night.
So I'm not sure when he actually has time to sleep, but I do know that these pies look amazing. And he sets himself apart from other locals in the area by specializing in Detroit-style pizza, which has a signature square shape, and when the pie's put together, it's layered cheese, toppings, then sauce, which is different than how most pies are assembled. So why Detroit-style pizza? I mean, we're in New England. You grew up in New England, right?
That's right. My family is Sicilian.
Okay.
And they came over from Palermo. Sicilian was a natural progression for me to make something thick. So when the Sicilians came here at the turn of the century to work in the factories in the auto industry, they would work on the factory line and they would use these pans for like extra parts and nuts and bolts. They'd take these pans home and they would cook their Sicilian pizza in it. So their cheese just ended up kind of caramelizing around the edge and creating that laced edge.
Which to me is the best part of a Detroit pizza. I love that like crispy lace at the end.
So good.
With all this hype around the pizza, I wanted to see what goes into actually making it. First, it starts with the dough.
So that's our dough that's going into the pans. So I just make sure it gets into the pan because when it sits overnight, it's going to puff and spread out and it's going to flatten.
Okay, cool. So you just want it to kind of be even across?
Correct.
What's in the dough?
Flour, water, salt, yeast.
That's it? Just keep it simple?
Yep, 4 ingredients.
So how long did it take you to figure out the dough ratio and how long to let it sit?
I started out with 40 doughs in my first day. All right, I'm going to do 40, see how it goes, see if anybody will buy any. We sold out in a half an hour.
Dang.
Like there was a line out the door.
That's insane.
I'm like, oh, we're gonna need a bigger boat.
yeah.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
And then they get a cover. Cool. And then they get to hibernate overnight.
Normally when you see a thick pizza like this, you expect it to sit really heavy and be really dense. Detroit-style pizza is the opposite. It looks the same as those other types of pies, but it's actually super light and airy.
In order to get the air bubbles and for it to be soft and airy like that, the hydration level has to be a little higher. So when the yeast formation happens, it creates these bubbles.
Okay.
And in order for the bubbles to really stretch and get bigger, you gotta have a wetter dough.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's really just more water, not anything else.
Yeah. Once they're all proof the next day, I'll take these and bring them over, and I'll par bake them for 4 minutes each. And it'll go right into, if somebody orders a pizza, it's a dub pep, throw it in, cheese it, top it. So it's a 3-day process.
So not only is the crust unique for this pie, but the cheese blend is also something of its own compared to other pizza styles.
So it's a whole milk mozzarella and a Vermont white cheddar. It has the flavor of the cheddar, which is that little bit of salty, funky cheddar. And then the mozzarella gives it the cheese texture and pull. But the cheddar is what creates the laced edge.
Gotcha.
So when you make like cheddar chips or Parmesan chips in your toaster oven or your oven at home for the crispy chips, that's basically what's happening at the edge of the pan or on the blue steel.
One thing that can really make or break a pizza for me is the sauce. I feel like it holds everything together. I was really excited to find out what went into this one, and I was shocked when he told me.
All right, I'll tell you the secret. It's just crushed tomatoes.
Nothing
I don't
else?
cook it. I don't put any seasoning, no salt, no pepper. It's
Just tomatoes?
Really good tomatoes, but I don't do anything to it. So my great-grandfather and my grandmother told me that the least amount you do to something will make it the best thing.
Like, do you cook it for a long time, like on a low heat, or is it just good
I
to
only
go?
bring it up to 165 and then I lower it down to warm. So
Can we see the cans you use?
yeah.
Okay, big bags. So this is the move right here, Old California.
Well, California, it's probably the best tomato sauce. If I were to cook it, it would get too sweet. I want the acid to hit the top of the palate first and the bottom to hit that buttery, crunchy crust underneath.
Every pie that came out of the oven looked picture perfect. And it's obvious that the ingredients are super high quality. But I was wondering, how are the pies coming out so consistent without any stick or loss of lacing around the edges? Aaron told me the pan is the last ingredient that goes into a good Detroit pie.
The pan does it all. It's not, you saw how easy that came out.
Yeah,
You just let the oils kind of build up and season the pans.
kind of like a cast iron skillet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more you use it, the better it gets.
Watching Chef Aaron and his process, it hit me. He never had any traditional culinary training. How did this sports medicine therapist go from zero experience to making some of the most sought-after pies in New England?
About 12 years ago, I had gastric bypass surgery. I was 365 pounds. When I lost 160 pounds of that, I started cooking because everything I needed to cook, it had to be perfect because I could only eat a little.
Right, yeah.
So I started perfecting every single recipe that I did. And
Yeah.
I just got really good at cooking.
When did you open?
So opened in the middle of the pandemic. Yeah, a lot of places were closing left and right. And I said, maybe this is the opportunity where I can make something successful by customizing it to the restraints of COVID. So take out online ordering, minimal seating, low staff. That was what was being required to operate a restaurant. If you had a big restaurant with servers and no one could go in and sit, like they all folded.
So you started it 3 years ago, but you already had a regular job. What was the process like when you actually got it going?
So when I decided to open my own restaurant, I invested in pans, 40 pans, and a Subway bread oven. And that's what I cooked in for a year before I scaled up to a bakery oven like this. I was doing 12, I could only do 12 pizzas at a time. So I was able to customize my point of sale. So when people are ordering, it made it so people couldn't order a whole bunch in one period of time. If they tried to order all at 4:30, the next 12 pizzas would be bumped to the next time frame. So every 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I was never overwhelmed because I was never making more than 12 at a time in that oven. And the place that I was able to use, a friend of mine gave me an opportunity in a small building on the side of his restaurant, a place called Off the Grid in Sandwich, formerly a homing pigeon coop. It was maybe 200 square feet. My little Subway oven in 200 square feet in a former pigeon coop.
So you took it over and made some pizza.
Yeah, I had to
Love
duck
it.
going into it, like duck into the doorway. And once I'm in, there's like a little window that people picked up their pizzas at.
Was it hot in there? I mean,
extremely
I
hot.
can imagine you were baking.
No AC.
Ooh, with the humidity here in the summertime
Yeah,
too. That
middle
must
of
have been
July.
brutal. How does it feel to be like, I literally started my business in a pigeon coop and now I'm here and you've got customers coming in regularly. Like, what's that like?
Well, when I think about it that way, it's pretty awesome. One of the main reasons I love cooking is when people like what I've cooked.
Yeah.
Or when they say, that's the best thing I've ever had.
And there were a lot of people throughout the day that said exactly that. It's the best pizza they've ever had. I had the pleasure of chatting with this guy named Paul. He's a regular, and he explained to me what this pizza means to him.
So my grandmother in New York, every Sunday afternoon, she'd make a Sicilian style. All my cousins would sit there and eat it, and then as a topper, she'd roll out the the fried dough with the sugar on it.
Oh my God.
My God, it was like dying and going to heaven. So when I first had this, it brought me back 50 years. Brought me back 50 years, and when you told the story about the Italian woman from Italy that didn't say a word until the end of the conversation, and she came up and she said, "This is the best I've ever had."
Yeah.
It's amazing that every week, Paul can relive those memories of his grandmother's cooking through the shop. He had great things to say about the food, but he also had great things to say about Aaron as a person.
Tell you what the type of guy this guy is. My wife and I came up here a couple weeks ago, and we couldn't get near the store here because of the parade. We had ordered a pizza beforehand. Because we couldn't get close, he talked to me and he said, "Park at the John Carver and walk over, and I'll bring the pizza from the store over to your car." So I went up there, I stood on the corner for 5 minutes, he found me, he gave me the pizza on the corner.
After Paul left, I was thinking about how amazing it is that Aaron has so much support in the community. But I was wondering, why has he just kept it to himself? If this pizza's so good, why not expand?
You had one location and now you have this location and not the other one, right?
Right. So just one. I tried doing two and thought maybe expanding would be a cool way to make some money.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible.
Really?
Yeah. When I'm doing it by myself. If I had someone who was me, who I knew did things the way I do them,
Yeah.
that would have been fine. And I would say, you're in charge of that one, I'm in charge of this one.
well, I guess you're not looking for other people to work with you, but like, have you had people that are like, hey, you should franchise this, or?
Constantly.
Really?
A large number of people who said, I'd love to open one of these edges where I live. Would you ever be open to that?
And you're not doing it?
I'd say, you can, I just don't want to be involved in it.
Yeah, I think that's great. How come, what's your reasoning behind that? You know, you just want to have control, or?
It's the protection of the brand. Like
I
if I had
respect
someone and they're on the other side of the country and I don't know what they're doing, they can make my restaurant look bad if they do it wrong.
I love that you care so much about your brand. Like how do you set your mind there versus, you know, other people that are just like money and that's it?
Every pizza that I put out, like the way I cook, is making sure that every piece that you eat is perfect. Are they going to open this box and take a picture of it? And once they're done eating it, are they going to open their phones and review it? And that's what I go for, is like that reputation. Around here, everything's word of mouth, everything's reputation. That's how it's built. You're welcome, dear. Thank you so much. And the Coke. There are people that live on this street, this main street, that walk by and go, oh, I didn't even know you were here. Do you walk with your eyes closed?
That's so funny.
So, it baffles me sometimes.
Yeah.
There are other people who come from Rhode Island. There's a guy who comes every week from Tiverton, Rhode Island.
Oh, wow.
Just to get pizza here.
That's not a short drive.
Out there.
Yeah.
He's like, this is my Sunday activity. I come down, I get a pizza, I go sit by the water, and I go home.
I'm sure you get to know your customers a little bit too, if it's just you all the time, right?
Yeah, and when people come in, I know their name, I know what they're there for. I've made their pizza for them, and they just walk right in and I hand it to them. Hey, Russell, it's all ready for you, buddy.
Yeah, wow, it's been like nonstop since we walked in here. We got here the second they opened and people are just in and out, in and out.
Aaron's certainly done a good job building his brand and reputation, and he's also done a great job building a system that helps him get these pizzas out with consistent quality. I watched him make pies all day, but is this something that I could do? I wanted to try.
We'll put in a blank.
Alrighty.
This is our cheese bin. That's all of our toppings. So cheese first.
So how much do you weigh it? You just kind of know how much you should put on there?
I usually do about this much.
Okay.
I make sure that, see, I didn't get enough.
Yep.
So I can always go back for more. The key is to getting it close to the edges first. And once you have that in place, then you can kind of just fill in the middle.
Start off, I might have done too much.
You actually have just the right amount.
You think there's a little bit more here?
Yeah, you could probably do another little squirt.
All right. Look at that, first shot, almost nailed it. All right, how much pepperoni would you normally put on?
I usually put a handful.
Put them in an order or anything, or you just throw them on?
If I try to make it too perfect, it comes out looking perfect and it looks like somebody else's. So I like it to be nice and rustic and artistic.
So you go in with the toppings, huh?
Yep. I always think of this as the equivalent of a large pizza.
What's your favorite pie?
My favorite one right now is the Mark Truffalo. It's got like a garlic cream base, a ton of mushrooms. I finish it with ricotta, herbs, and a drizzle of truffle oil.
So what kind of mushrooms are you using?
I just use white button mushrooms.
Cool.
This is our garlic cream sauce. It's like an Alfredo.
All right, let's, so they both go in the oven over here?
So we cook at 500.
Can you fit 3 or should I go up?
3's good.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it.
Since the pizza was in the oven, we started chatting about his building and how it was built in the 1700s, only to find out the story of what this place used to be is even more crazy than when he opened the pizza shop originally in a pigeon coop.
It's an old one, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the originals?
1726 it was built.
1726?
300 years old. It was an area where they planned the American Revolution.
In this building? Oh, that's really
Sons of Liberty were here. Sam Adams,
That's
John
so
Hancock,
cool.
They met right back there. This was the home of Mercy Otis Warren, and she used to write letters to John and Abigail Adams when he was in the presidency. She basically inspired him to form the American Revolution
Really?
from all of that. So
Right out of this little area.
These timbers are original to the building.
Wow, that's
300-year-old.
So after our quick visit to the past, our pizzas were finally done, and damn, did they look good.
You cut first and then sauce?
Cut first.
Okay.
So I do it in thirds. So there's this line,
And then right up the middle?
and then in the middle.
Cool.
Great.
It was time for me to box mine up and finish the job.
Dude, not bad. Not bad.
After staring at the food all day, it's finally time to eat.
Let's open up the pies. Man, these smell so good.
I think that's the one with the honey.
This one's yours for sure. This one's mine. Yours definitely looks like there's more stuff on it. I don't know if I put enough pepperoni on mine, but hey, You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, and that extra maybe minute or so in the oven made a nice darker edge too.
All right, I'm gonna dive into the slice that I made because I want to see if it's like any good. I mean, it has to probably be good because you guided me through the entire thing. It's not like I really did it, but the cool thing is, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but you can actually see the air pockets in the dough. All right, let's go. Damn, is that good? You're right, that sauce tastes like you had been working on that for days. I mean, you've been heating it up, obviously, but.
Did you get a piece of the edge yet?
I'm saving it. So this is the lacing that we were talking about. Well, it's interesting because it's not like super greasy like a lot of other pies can be. Like it doesn't sit heavy after you eat it.
Right.
I feel like a lot of pizza can.
And you see what I mean about the sauce being acidic, but a little sweet, fresh tomato.
Do you think that like you keeping it to yourself, like is there a reason that the quality stays the same?
Yeah, I mean, it has to go out perfect. And I'm usually the one that hands it to somebody. If I open the box and it's not right, I ask them to wait a few minutes and make another one.
And people are usually cool with that?
Yeah, and it's rare that that happens. The other part of it is, like, this is our menu. It's 16 items on it. If I were to start adding sandwiches and chicken fingers and french fries like a lot of pizza places do, I would be way overwhelmed. And the quality would go way down. If I'm gonna do something, I wanna do it perfectly, do it right, have a small menu.
You're definitely gonna do it better than me. I can already tell by looking at the slice, but I wanna try the hot honey on here. It sounds really good.
Oh, that's a game changer.
Damn, that is good. Here we go, the Mark Truffalo. Shit, dude, this is legit. That ricotta is like just cream.
It's like a really thick cream. So that ricotta is made by a company called Grande, and they do a whole milk ricotta that I've not been able to find anywhere else.
Damn. That crazy amount of mushroom you put on actually works really well because the mushrooms kind of like crisped up. It's almost like you made a pizza before.
It's my second rodeo.
So where do you see it go next, man? I mean, do you think you'll keep it small forever? Is that the goal?
Yeah, my goal when I first started it was to build this brand and build it to a point that people want to buy it. So I'll end up selling it eventually.
Yeah.
And then move on to the next thing.
Aaron definitely has something special here, and after tasting his food and spending the day with him, I think what makes this place operate so well with one person comes down to three things: passion for food, incredible systems in place, care for the customer and the community. Like and subscribe for the next one.